For Comedy Hype News, I'm Clayton Thomasson. We're still dealing with the aftermath of the Montgomery Riverfront Brawl. As we all know, the viral brawl took place on August 5th, 2023, and it all began when white boaters refused to move their pontoon boat so the riverboat could dock. It didn't take long for things to become physical, which resulted in an all-out brawl. Now, Damian Pickett, the co-captain of the Harriet II riverboat, is currently facing third-degree assault charge that occurred at the viral Montgomery Riverfront Brawl just over 3 months ago. Pickett is scheduled to make an appearance in court today. Last week, Pickett finally broke his silence for the first time since the incident alongside his attorney, John Barnett. The two held a news conference where Pickett said his life has been disrupted since the brawl took place. According to the Montgomery Advertiser, Pickett said, "Justice comes when you come together in unity."
It was just so shocking for me, and not for me to get charged for something that I do every day. It's my job. It's just shocking to me for me to get charged for something that I do on the regular. Make people happy, put smiles on their face. I don't know what's going on. No one else contacted me. All I got was a summons. If I did something wrong, I know I'll admit to it. It's on video. You did something wrong. Pay the cost.
In addition to calling for unity amongst the residents of Montgomery, Pickett's lawyer Barnett also called for people to gather at 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning at the municipal courthouse to support Pickett. And that's exactly why the Comedy Hype News show had to stop by. Pickett is being sued by Zachary Shipman, who is also facing an assault charge because of the brawl. Shipman said he was not trying to fight. Instead, he was defending himself after Pickett punched him in the face. Two people involved in the melee, Richard Roberts and Mary Todd, pleaded guilty to their charges. Roberts pleaded guilty on 2 counts of misdemeanor assault and will serve 32 days of 4-month suspended jail sentence. Roberts is ordered to serve his time on the weekends, completed in 100 hours of community service, and pay court costs over $700. Now, Mary Todd, on the other hand, would plead guilty to misdemeanor harassment and was ordered to go to anger management classes and pay over $350 in court costs. Now, Shipman, along with Alan Todd, both have misdemeanor assault charges. The judge had originally scheduled their cases for this Thursday, November the 23rd. However, a motion was granted to push the trial back, which will now be held in December. Reggie Ray, the chairman, also has trial set for December. When it comes to Pickett's case, Barnett also said he'd like to see the charges against Shipman and Todd upgraded to charges used in lynching cases. Now, for the first time ever, I had the opportunity to travel off location to visit Montgomery, Alabama, to witness a protest for Damian Pickett. And it really became surreal to me that in 2023, we're still dealing with unnecessary incidents that for many appear to be fueled by racism. And in this case specifically, in one of the birthplaces of the civil rights movement. I actually got to sit down with local representatives Clayton Thomasson and Pastor Abner to talk just about that. We also discussed more about what took place at the riverfront and what we are hoping the outcome will be for Damian Pickett. I hope you not only enjoy, but you also learn something from this interview. Let's take a look. Joining me, we have Clayton Thomasson and Pastor Abner, as well as Aaron, to discuss exactly what's going on in this 68 degrees, full rain, nonstop, and high winds. But first, I want to start with you, Clayton. I want to take it back for a moment before we go present day, because you were actually on the boat the day that it happened. Can you walk me through what that experience was like as you've seen things unfold?
Yeah, so for us, we were coming in. I've been an entertainer on the boat 13 years. Wow. Weddings, anniversaries, divorce parties, we play everything. And so I'm on the 3rd deck. And so as we were coming in, we noticed that these pontoon boats are blocking where we dock. There's only one place we can dock. And we had about 220 passengers on the boat. And, you know, the captain asked several times by intercom, please move your boat, please move your boat. And they just were, you know, shooting us the bird, you know, wow. Walking away. It was just, they were completely ignoring us. And we were out there close to 45 minutes. And for the Harriet II, we had already been out on the river for about 2 hours. And so, you know, the captain is having to constantly circle and constantly circle. On my deck, you know, it was like in the 80s, 90s, so I had a lot of senior citizens up there. We had already been out 2 hours. So a lot of my passengers were tired. They had other engagements to get to. But here we were being held hostage by these voters.
Yeah.
And it became tense. We saw how they were just engaged in this debauchery, and it was deliberate.
Absolutely.
It was deliberate. So the smaller vessel, the paddle boat, that captain, the captain reached out to him and said, "Will you please get the guys to move the boat so we can dock?" And of course, they refused to do that for him as well. So we were up there so long, I cut a song called "Move That Boat."
Yeah.
Go to Spotify, you can hear it.
So one of the biggest things from this conversation that people are taking away, like they felt like it has something to do with race. In your experience in being there, did you hear any racial slurs, or did you see any, whether it's like because you can tell, like you said, from a person's presence, what was that like? Because a lot of people that were not physically there or have those wonders.
Yeah, we, in my deck was multicultural. We had everybody. We had people from Maxwell on the boat. We had people from out of town, and you could clearly see that race was a part of it. Some of the people on the lower deck were actually using words to tell them to move it, and so there was racial slurs going on. It was apparent that they didn't care about moving the boat. And so when Damien finally got transported over there on the dinghy, the lady in red, you can look at the videos, and she was the one that got hit in the head with the chair.
Right.
So she was doing all these Karen tactics, running around, just starting SHIT.
Right.
That's all she was doing. She was running around. So when Damien went there, she ran. "Oh, they're moving the boat. They're moving our boat." So, and I know a lot of people were upset that she got hit in the head with the chair, but they need to look back. She was part of all this BS in the beginning.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't know is that there's other video out there where they were getting ready to disembark and leave, but they saw Damien get on the dinghy. And there's a video that shows, and they said, no, wait, come back. So this was not an accident, y'all. This was planned. It was planned. What they didn't plan on was the response from the African-American people when they got on that dock.
Absolutely.
So, and what we want to make clear here is that we've never had anything like that happen. And, and people know me, I have fun on that boat. I get people up, we dance, we shake. I mean, people that rode my boat 10 years ago, I don't even know who they are. "Man, you throw down when I was on that boat, boy, but so they took a place of peace, of tranquility, of happiness.
Absolutely.
And they brought up this old Jim Crow crap. That's all it is, Jim Crow. And you say they're always brave when it's 6-on-1.
Yeah.
But see, when the tables get turned, they're seen kicking him. There's a taller white gentleman that looks like Ichabod Crane with no hair. He's running up there, and you don't touch her now. He's running back and forth, and he's seen choking the co-captain's sister, Lala.
Wow.
There's actually, you can see the video, he's choking her, and Aaron comes and knocks him loose, and then Steve hits him, and he goes down. What a lot of people don't know, when Aaron was engaged with that Barney Rubble character, he said, "If you don't stop hitting me, I'm gonna shoot you."
Wow.
Oh yeah. Now he told the police that, y'all.
Yeah.
See, he told the police that.
And what was their response? Because I hadn't seen that anywhere, and I would think that would make a headline.
Well, I know he told his father. I know he told them, but for some reason that has not come out. There's a lot of facts that have not surfaced yet. So now, since the voters wait 3 months, and they didn't file this warrant on their own, their attorneys and somebody in the city district attorney's office has been planning this.
Right.
I said it back when I was interviewed with Molly Fisk, Jim Crow is going to come. Because regardless, even though it was the right response, it was on the wrong folk.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it was the right response, but it was on the wrong folk. Yeah, and they may publicly say, now that's not everybody. You got good white people out there. And we need to remember, good white people is what helped change the South.
Right.
So they even killed that poor white woman with them 5 kids on the way to sell them.
Right.
So, but there is a segment that likes to, they still see themselves in the woods with a shotgun, like, that's him, and that's there.
Right.
And so that's why I tell people of color all the time, learn how to use a firearm, protect yourself.
Absolutely.
So if worst case scenario, you can take somebody with you.
Absolutely.
If you transfer. But the message here is not a violent one. It's one of self-defense.
Absolutely.
You see, you can use violence to put down a greater violence. those people felt entitled to beat that man up, sit on the dock, eat a hamburger, drink a beer, and then they engaged other passengers. You see, that part of the story has not been told. The guy we call P-Love, who was on my deck, Roberts is seen trying to sucker punch the man. And he looked back and he grabbed him, and everybody see him walk around choking him. And then the rest of the community joined in and giving him a bunch of headshots. So he needs to bring a warrant against everybody on that boat. The woman in white, everybody who was on those pontoons need to get warrants from every passenger.
Absolutely.
And I'm asking all of y'all that rode that boat, come down here to the municipal court, file a warrant for disturbing your peace. Your peace was disturbed, okay? You didn't come to that boat to watch a black man get beat on by 6 white drunken boaters, okay? You didn't sign up for that. So you did not sign up to be held captive out there on that river. Now, we also got to call it out like it is. The captain called early for help. Now, let's talk about another fact that we ain't talking about. He called for a long time for help. I could run from the dock to Ripley Street in 10 or 15 minutes. It was 40 minutes before we got any relief. And most of the police officers you didn't see until we were actually still engaged in the response of our defense of the co-captain. Now, they say, well, it's different fights, and the fight was, no, look here. When you got somebody drunk and they done jumped on you, put yourself in your own front yard. Somebody show up with a pickup truck, 6 folks get out and beat up your daddy. And then they decide to sit right there, have a beer, eat a hamburger, and then wait on some more folks come out and then they jump on them.
I want to bring in Pastor, and thank you so much for providing so many more details. Now, Pastor, we're right here, as I mentioned, 68 degrees, it's raining. How did you become a part of this, and why did you feel it was important to be here today specifically?
Well, I think perception is reality, and there are those who perceive, you know, that we're taking something if we come up as a people. And I'm just shocked and alarmed that Montgomery, Alabama hadn't gotten further along up the road. When all of the stuff started here or surfaced here and was first dealt with here in Montgomery, it seemed like we would do a whole lot better off as it relates to white and black relations. And you know, I'm just an old preacher, and I'm here to support this young man. I don't condone any of the violence by the blacks, nor do I condone any of the violence of the whites, but it is what it is. We only seem to have peace when we stay in our place. And on the heels of the former president, Donald Trump, coming to Montgomery, how ironic is it that it happened on the heels of his visit? It seems like it just fueled their anger. And we've got to be careful all over America, as a matter of fact, all over the world, with what I call white grievance. And it's just not in Alabama, it's just not in Montgomery, it's just not in America. It seems to be all over the world. It's white grievance, and our democracy right now is on life support because of this thing called white grievance. They can't get out of democracy what they've always gotten out of democracy. And once democracy starts to work for me and you and those who are others of color, those people who are poor, when democracy works for us all, then that white grievance can easily be stoked. And a man without aim can be pointed into a bunch of directions. And this is what our former president is doing. And it's just shocking that too many people are just turning a blind eye to it. Something as good as this American experience is being crushed because of this one man. Now he's not one man, but there's one idea, and we're not fighting against individuals. We're not fighting against identities. We're fighting an idea, and until we get a handle on this white privilege, you know, a young black man gets stopped, police takes him, locks him up, and he gets a record. Young white man gets stopped, who's your mother and who's your father? And they call him and they go to whatever end it is to protect that. And so I'm just here to support Aaron and to be a voice that's speaking out in the wilderness. We've got to do something with this privilege. I served in the United States military, and I'm an Army bandsman, and there weren't but 5 or 6 blacks in each Army band. And a long story short, we all were gathered together. The 5 black guys were hanging out, and one of the supervisors, one of the sergeants came over and says, "This doesn't look good, you guys hanging out here together." And my question was, well, how good does it look for you to allow the rest of the 30 white guys to hang out together? And so I'm just alarmed. It's just certain things that's just get under my skin. And this white privilege thing, they've gotten all they can get out of democracy. Now they're trying to use the justice system, and too often it's been used to weaponize itself to ensure that this white privilege is allowed to exist. So I'm just here for that.
Absolutely, you bring up a great point, because hearing about being in Montgomery, the birthplace of civil rights, when you think of Rosa Parks, you think of Martin Luther King, you would think that Montgomery would be a lot further. Why do you think we haven't seen that, and what is the solution to move the needle forward? What can we do as a people?
Those who are in power, when you have a Jim Crow system that exists within a perceived justice system, then you have, once you understand law as a whole, justice is supposed to be blind. But see, justice makes calls, and justice has ex parte communications, which are not supposed to be allowed. See, on the ex parte communication, hey, Rev, what you gonna do with that trial? You come down to a country club so we can have some tea? Now, I'm being facetious, but that's exactly how trials get handled. See, they already know what they're gonna do before you get to court. See, and the thing about, but when you understand the law, then you become a ripple, because then you file an appeal. Well, what happened in the trial? Well, I didn't have no counsel. What? Black folks still ain't getting counsel in a criminal trial? Right here in 2015, and he was so bold. Judge Goggins, Elmore County, Alabama Home Builder Licensure Board. He was so bold. We ain't getting you down there, boy. Yeah.
So how do you feel about seeing, a black mayor here, a black police chief, but then we still have a situation today where we see the co-captain being charged, or, charges being pressed?
So if you have great power, then you have a greater responsibility. You see, having great power doesn't mean bending your knee to those who put you in power. You see, great power. See, King will always be remembered because he stood for what was right. Him and Malcolm didn't always agree, but they agreed that we shouldn't be oppressed. Their methods were different. Their message was the same. And if you really study Dr. King, some of his, I'm not going to say it, widely known sermons was become self-motivated, have self-wealth, use your money to support your businesses. You can look at the Latino community. They come here, but they work together. They stand together. Now, while you may see them get victimized here or there, but they know it's going to be a turn up with them.
Yeah.
Let me go. No. They speak English good when you start some BS.
Yeah.
And they'll go to the trunk on you. So, like Abner says, we don't want to foster violence, but necessary violence to stop a greater violence is allowed. So the defense of the crew coming, the defense of all those grannies and aunties and uncles was necessary. They sit there and watch something. So to answer your question, what is it going to take? It's going to take what we're doing right now. It's going to take the same thing it took in Rosa Parks Day. It's going to take us boycotting. It's going to take us speaking out. It's going to take good white folk. It's going to take our governor not painting her face black. Imitating like we're some kind of stupid creatures. Oh, we're intelligent people. We took care of your children. They have our breast milk running through their veins. And they abandoned their children to take care of your children during the holidays. And so we are the fabric of this nation. And sometimes they forget that. So what it's going to take is us knowing the law and holding those who practice law accountable. You can file a complaint against the bar. You can file a complaint against a judge. Those complaints can get reviewed by the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. Now, sometimes a consent decree is given in situations where the good old boys and the good old Justice Network, let's use Elmore County. You got blacks down in prison up there. You got folks being denied counsel. Well, there's a reason why that is allowed. Okay? Yeah. Because Jim Crow behind the scenes allows it. So when Jim Crow behind the scenes gets a call from Washington, D.C., what y'all doing down there in Dixie? You know, the U.S. Constitution is over the Alabama Constitution when it comes to your civil rights, when it comes to your right to counsel. And too many of our black men, and I don't condone anybody engaged in violence or anybody engaged in drugs, but we have petty crimes out there where our black men are being sent to prison. And it is institutionalized slavery. Jesse Jackson calls it legal lynching. Look at his book. Legal lynching is where we give up our rights. To everybody out there who has a case, you should fight to the, I would tie that justice system up with an appeal after an appeal after an appeal. When they see me come, they know one thing. He gonna fight. That boy gonna fight right there.
Pastor, let me ask you, what are you hoping to see? What are you hoping to see today?
Well, what I'm hoping to see today is broader awareness, and I'm hoping that that we all would look deep down within ourselves, and that's my hope. We can't change until people want to change, and I say often that people remain the same until the pain of change is greater than the pain of remaining the same. Right. So when it hurts enough, we eventually change. And unfortunately, I feel, you know, it's like generational wealth. When I see politicians, more especially white politicians, they tell their story of how they came over here, their parents escaped from prison camps or whatever, from the wars or whatever, and in less than 2 generations, they're working in Congress and for the United States, and they're millionaires. But I've got blood-soaked soil from my ancestors over 500 years, and I just can't seem to find the goalpost. So there's something that's in the water, there's something that's in the air, there's something that's deep down in us that has to change, and I'm hoping that it does not have to be this thing of pain. I like the mayor. The mayor is a friend of mine. The mayor is a fraternity brother of mine. But I understand, like Dr. King. Dr. King's approach was one of attacking the system, and he was a master of attacking systems. You got a watch on your arm. It does not just keep time because it knows seconds. All of those little pieces in it are synchronized. And so that's how you have to go at a system. It takes all of us. I wish the NBA, I wish the NFL, I wish Major League Baseball, I wish the golfers, all of them have to open their eyes and see what I see and not wait until the pain gets to their doorstep.
Absolutely. Now, I want to bring that same question to you, and I want to add a couple layers, because one thing that I found quite amusing was Shipman. I saw online, like, his business had to close down, and then, as you said, it's been months since he decided to say, like, oh, hey, now I want to press charges. What do you think we're going to see out of this, having the knowledge of law and what is to be expected, having that? Is there a chance? I mean, because people are wondering, is there a chance for these charges to actually go through that Shipman is pressing?
Not in legal law.
Okay.
So if we hold to the truth, if the scales of justice are really blind, no, a right judicial judge and a justifiable prosecutor is going to say, you know what, Zachary, because of your actions, there was a defense.
Correct.
So for Aaron, Rara, Steve, everybody that came off of that boat, including Reggie Ray. Now, yes, he used a chair, but they have a defense to what was brought to them. Again, the worst thing for Zachary, Shipman, them is that y'all stayed in the area. You continued to hurl racial slurs. You wobbled around, but you wasn't that drunk because you fought back and you took a good bunch of licks upside the head. You know, the little girl, the little blonde child, she got hit like 9 times. She popped right back up, you know. They were able to dive in the water and get away from those licks and punches. So they had a mission that I think if the Department of Justice gets involved, and if they dive deep into their phone records, if they dive deep, because the Justice Department has that power. So if they want to continue this, then we're going to ask the Department of Justice to look at this again as a hate crime. It's not a secret that that boat has predominantly African Americans on it. Montgomery is predominantly 60% black. So they knew what they were doing. Right. So I think when we really start to dive deep into what actually happened, why did it happen right before the mayoral race? Why was this other person running on an unsafe Montgomery? And the best thing to help your cause is a brawl downtown in our jewel of the riverboat. Is it a coincidence? I don't believe in coincidences.
I don't believe in coincidences. Yeah. Were you surprised that it wasn't a hate crime?
Very much so. Again, when you have discerning eyes and you look at the totality of what happened in front of all these people, they were there to make a statement. You see, understand something now, and like he said, Trump had just left. Now, you know, so I'm surprised that they didn't think we would respond.
Right.
It doesn't surprise me. Nothing surprises me anymore. Before 2016, maybe so, it might have surprised me. But as of this date, when I see what's happening, when I see how Congress and the Senate can weaponize itself against the people that put them there and do the things that they're doing and get away with it. When I see all of this, nothing surprises me. And so we can only hope and pray that this fever that's taken over this country will subside very, very, very soon, because there are some other angry people out there that have just as much grievance. They're just as fired up. And if this thing just keeps getting off course like it's doing, who knows when we might see Jesus.
Well, again, thank you both for fighting the fight. Thank you for showing up and for supporting Aaron. Aaron, I know we have an exclusive one-on-one interview with you, so I appreciate you for standing by and being here. And thank you, what we're calling the Black Aquaman.
Black Aquaman.
Make sure you stay tuned for an exclusive one-on-one interview with Aaron. And yes, make sure we actually do the work that we need to do, because it's important that we all stand together. So no matter if you're in Montgomery, Alabama or not, it's important for no matter where you are that we all come together to make sure that this case is pushed to the side and we move forward as a people. For Comedy Hype News, I'm just kidding. But I do have a special announcement. The Comedy Hype News show is now looking for an analyst to join me right here on the show. That's right, there's an opportunity for your tush to be in one of these seats. But before you get too excited, here are a few requirements. You must be Atlanta-based, over the age of 21, so sorry to all my young babies. And you gotta know how to stand 10 toes down on your opinion. Now, technically we'll be sitting down, but you get my point. 10 toes down, not 9, not 8, but 10. Auditions take place November 30th through December 1st right here in Atlanta, Georgia. So click the link below or go to Hype Plus TV/talent search. Hope to see you in a chair near me. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.